Hello everybody, this is Jack Carey at paranormalintelligenceagency.com. Google us today, come by and see our website and all of the exclusive paranormal reports that are available to our subscribers. Today's briefing is on Antarctica and the mystery that's been unfolding down there, and I've decided to present a full picture of the mystery that's going on in Antarctica. And strangely enough, the mystery in Antarctica begins on Mars. Mars is the place that we seek to go and colonize, and I believe that there is already an existing colony on Mars, and I have covered that in a previous YouTube video. Mars has long been thought to have ruins. Here is the famous face on Mars, and not far from the area known as Cydonia. I'm going to pull up a map here. These are the remnants of the Martian civilization. The Martian civilization was destroyed in a planetary war. We know this from different sources of information. One of those sources of information comes from a team of the world's most elite remote viewers. They were given Mars as a target, a blind target, for their remote viewings. And what they discovered was that Mars was actually destroyed in a planetary war with a neighboring planet. Scientists who have studied Mars believe that there is high amounts of xenon-129, which can only be produced in a nuclear war. This is Dr. Brown of the Farsight Institute, and this is a target, a photograph that he found for his remote viewers in the JPL photographic archive. In it, there are two domes. Dome 1 was target 1C, Dome 2, 1B, and the fluid coming out of the pipe was yet another target. They describe this conflict as war in heaven and believe that this was in fact mythologized worldwide in every single culture. Mars was having a war with what we refer to as Nibiru. Many people out there know that the Anunnaki had come to the Earth. They had begun extensive mining operations because they required the natural resources that the Earth had. While they were here, they genetically altered certain life forms, including Homo sapiens sapien, leading to what we are here today. They appear to have had the same problem with Mars in that they wanted the natural resources from Mars. This led to a conflict with the Martian people. These are bas-reliefs from the area of Mesopotamia depicting the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki began their war with Mars, and according to the remote viewers, this began to devastate the climate on Mars. Because of this, the Martian people came up with a weapon that the remote viewers described as being a planet killer. This weapon was deployed shortly before the total destruction of the Martian planet. This weapon actually obliterated the planet of Nibiru, and with it all of the Anunnaki other than those who were left behind on the Earth, and that will be a subject of yet another YouTube video. There is a NASA scientist. His name is Dr. John Brandenburg. He has discovered vast amounts of xenon-129 all over the surface of Mars. Xenon-129 can only be produced in a nuclear explosion. He believes he has identified where that explosion took place. There were two separate target sites. This caused the Martian civilization, what was left of it, to build space arcs and set sail for the neighboring planet of Earth. They brought with them what they could, and apparently they landed in what is today Antarctica. This is a map of Dr. Brandenburg's two sites of nuclear detonation on Mars. These two sites would explain the vast amount of xenon-129 all over the surface. When the Martians landed in Antarctica, it was not covered with ice. This was at the time that previous maps prior to the Perry-Ray map were actually made, and it wasn't until centuries later that the Perry-Ray map actually was a copy of these earlier maps. This is a photograph of some of the ruins still left on Mars. The next photograph is looks like a very large building, perhaps a citadel of some kind. But you can clearly see that that is not a natural feature on the surface of Mars. There are also various color photographs out there from the rover Curiosity. They seem to show pieces of machinery and technology lying about still on the surface of Mars. Some of these photographs seem to depict the actual people on Mars, such as this, what apparently was the head or the top of a statue. And to the right, you can kind of see what it would have looked like when it was new, and that gives you an idea of what the Martians also looked like. Now, when they landed in Antarctica, they were able to rebuild a civilization, rudimentary by their standards. And it was at this time that a vast cataclysm took place. This cataclysm completely destroyed the civilization in a mere 1 or 2 days, and it became the source of all of the tales of Atlantis. This caused a diaspora among the people, the Martian people in Antarctica, around the world. And it was at this time that you began to see pyramid structures appear on all continents, along with ritual head binding to elongate the skulls of human children. This was done to emulate what they considered to be divine beings. In later human cultures around the world, only the nobility were allowed to ritually bind their skulls and make them elongated, apparently in an effort to emulate the Martian people. These are all photographs from the surface of Antarctica. They depict big metal doors that look like they lead to underground bases. There are pyramids. All of the ice that is now receding from Antarctica is beginning to reveal a vast amount of these artifacts. It can no longer be hidden, and pretty soon you're going to see Antarctica begin to appear in mainstream media sources. Here is a supposed photograph of some of this technology buried below the ice, taken from Google Earth. These are eyewitness depictions of some of the ruins that apparently exist beneath the ice. There are vast archaeological digs that have been going on there since the 1980s, and they have discovered a vast amount of new kinds of technology. This new technology will lead to a revolution around the world. They also describe a black pyramid buried underground. And this black pyramid apparently is some type of extremely powerful generator, able to produce amazing amounts of power, and that comes from military insiders. They also discovered some of the Martian people there. They stood 7 to 8 feet tall. They all had very large, elongated skulls and looked human-like, but their facial features were clearly not Homo sapiens sapien. When they built their civilization in Antarctica, it was a place where they had plenty of water. Antarctica was much, much warmer, and apparently to them it looked like the place to settle. All of the rumors and mythologies around the world about Atlantis actually began with the Egyptian priesthood, the ancient Egyptian priesthood, who said they also received that knowledge from people they considered to be the gods. These gods were the Martian people. And even in Egypt, we see ritual head binding in Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and their offspring, Tutankhamun. Certain military insiders have come forward to ufologist Linda Moulton Howe and have revealed to her that they were sent to examine some of these Martian ruins. These ruins are amazing by their testimony. Here is one of the maps of the insiders. Now, these were U.S. Air Force pilots flying over Antarctica. They did fly over a no-fly zone. They claim to have witnessed a base, humans, and ETs working together. They also claim that they picked up a team of scientists there who never spoke, but whose faces looked quite frightened. Here is a picture from Google Earth of one of the spacecraft, which is hidden. You can clearly see the disk shape, whether this is a Martian craft or one of the craft flown by the Greys. We do not know. There are various other anomalies on the surface of Antarctica. This is one of those anomalies. Clearly the object circled, came in for some type of landing and skid a long way, producing a very large trench. And then there are 4 structures in front of it which cannot be explained. There is also an entrance to what appears to be a vast cavern covered by a gigantic metal door. There has been many rumors that the Nazis built a base there after World War II to try to rebuild, and this may be a remnant of that base. There has also been a face discovered in Antarctica on Google Earth. This was discovered by some people in the Netherlands. This face has all of the same hallmarks as the face on Mars. It looks very, very similar. And it's one of the main evidence exhibit in this case. Now, this black pyramid was also said to have been, or one very much like it, was said to have been found in Alaska. And recently, on an asymmetric pattern analysis, I discovered a explorer from England who also describes a black pyramid in Egypt. In Paracas, Peru, we have leftover skulls of these Martian people. These are known as the Paracas skulls. They are not human. They have been tested. Their DNA is only 25% close to Homo sapiens sapien. Many of them do still have the hair on their heads. The skulls themselves are missing the sagittal suture, clearly not a human feature. The skulls were not ritually headbound. They are 25% larger than a normal human's skull, the cranial capacity, and they are 60% heavier than a human skull. This was part of the diaspora that occurred when Antarctica and their civilization was destroyed. They then went to each of the continents and they began to be or be seen as divine or royal beings, and it was from there that they began to teach humans some of the knowledge that they knew, and these various human tribes began to emulate them with ritual head binding. Now, some of these skulls have been taken and fleshed out both on computer and in real life. This is one artist's depiction of what these people would have looked like, or perhaps their offspring. Here's another depiction. And in the photograph I'm going to pull up is perhaps the most accurate fleshing out of one of these skulls, and you can really see the difference in human features when it's actually fleshed out. It's human-like, humanoid, but not quite human. So it is from here and all of this vast amount of technology that was left. Here, and this is a picture of Akhenaten and Nefertiti and their offspring. You can clearly see the elongation of the skulls. So even they were emulating, or Akhenaten was in fact part of the lineage. This is Cliff High at the WebBot. If you've not gone to his site, halfpasthuman.com, I encourage you to do so. He has developed a algorithm, a way of examining conversations around the world and determining future outcomes based on those conversations. Neuro-linguistic data analysis is what it's called. And for a very long time in his computer program, there has been bits and pieces of information popping up about Antarctica. The WebBot predicts that in the coming months and over the next year, you're going to begin to see some of these technologies introduced from Antarctica. And it is in this introduction of these technologies that you're going to begin to see an actual effect in real time in present day. And I will explain that momentarily. Recently, the U.S. government has begun to engage in UFO disclosure. That UFO disclosure will become part of the Antarctica disclosure. This is a man named Gary McKinnon. He hacked into the NASA and NSA computer systems. He claims to have seen a list of non-terrestrial officers and spacecraft that we don't even know exist. The U.S. government has been trying to extradite him ever since that hack. This is Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. She is the great-granddaughter of President Eisenhower, and she claims publicly that she was recruited to a secret Mars colony, which she declined. This is an article I found from 1987, clearly stating that the military has already a space program. They apparently were reporting that they were shutting it down, but never did, and shows that they had 134 military officers and experts at its peak. Now, this leads us to believe that the archaeological finds in Antarctica led them back to Mars. They understood that what they discovered was the remnants of the Martian people. They then traveled clandestinely back to Mars. And this is what Dr. Brown's group has picked up is remnants. Now, these domes were left by the Martians, and they possess a technology not currently understood. This photograph appears on Google Mars, and some believe it was an April Fool's joke. However, it is an interesting depiction of what a colony would look like. And the colony apparently was paid for with $2.3 missing trillion. Donald Rumsfeld brought up the 2.3 trillion missing dollars. And we have to remember that was on September 10th. September 11th, we had the major events, and then everyone forgot about the missing $2.3 trillion. This is an anomalous light taken by one of the rovers on Mars that is not naturally occurring light. That is an artificial light, and is yet more evidence of the colony on Mars. Now, Cliff High has been telling us that all of these archaeological digs in Antarctica will produce results in present day. And the technology discovered there apparently is going to require vast amounts of silver in order to replicate. Silver on this planet is beginning to be in short supply. Estimates are 50% of the silver has already been used up. He believes that this will cause a vast increase in the price of silver, and with it, it will cause a vast increase in the price of some new technologies. And that's all I got for you today, guys. Join me next time, and we'll be exploring something good.